The fifth chapter of the 6 chapters for your final is chapter 28 on softball. And just like all the other sports skills, you want to introduce throwing and catching prior to developmental level 2 and striking skills as well. But actually in developmental level 2 is where they're actually going to learn the true strategy and skills of softball. The proper progression is also used just like in soccer. You want to do lead-up games just like in soccer as well. In softball, we want our emphasis on instruction and lead-up games, as I just said. And we have the 2 developmental levels, developmental level 2 and 3, that we're going to talk about in the next slide. And you want to practice as many softball skills as you can in every activity. But a lot of times these kids aren't ready until about the age of 8, give or take a year. So don't expect 100% perfection. For development levels 1 and 2, so K through 2, 3rd and 4th grade, I want you to know your emphasis should be the basic skills of batting, throwing, and catching. I did not say the regulation game of softball. I said the emphasis should be on batting, throwing, and catching. The proper form and technique for all 3 of these basic skills should be a part of your instruction. So it's a matter of paying attention to how they are doing the skill as well as why. You want to have these lead-up games to introduce the basic skills and gradually add specific skills as their skill level increases. For development level 3, here is where you actually develop all these T-ball skills except for pitching and catching. They talk about the games home run and scrub that are a variety of experiences in the softball setting. Batter ball is stressing hitting, but they need to practice batting, practice throwing, catching, and infield play. Slow pitch can definitely be introduced here. And then they talk about the Babe Ruth ball that emphasizes selective hitting. Here again for softball, just like we saw in soccer, on the left side you see all the skills that should be taught in developmental level 2 in grades 3 and 4. Throwing, 1, 2, 3, 4 skills. Catching and fielding, 1, 2, 3, 5 skills. Batting, 3 skills. Fielding positions, base running, and pitching. And then for developmental level 3, you include all of developmental 2 and you add on how to throw in from outfield, catching flies from a fungal bat, different positions at the plate, bunting, backing up other players, double play, and different skills. So in addition to developmental level 2 skills, you want to introduce developmental level 3 skills. Here is a continuation of what you want to introduce in developmental level 2 and 3, the knowledge and the rules that they need to know for the 2 developmental levels, the activities that you can teach for each developmental level, and then the skills test that can be done for each developmental level. These softball skills that you need to teach, the first one I want you to know is gripping the ball. The standard grip may be difficult for these elementary school children because their hand is so small. So you might use what's called the full hand grip because the children's hands are so small. So I want you to know that using the full hand grip, they show a picture of it, figure 28.2, where you have 3 fingers on the ball instead of just 2. And they're using a baseball, looks like, instead of a softball. So gripping the ball is one skill. Another skill, throwing. I want you to know softball requires accurate throwing. So to play softball well, players must develop proper throwing technique. So I want you to know that. So what are the instructional cues that I want you to know for throwing? Number 1, place the throwing arm side of the ball away from the target, away from the target. Number 2, step toward the target with the foot opposite the throwing hand. So this is your fourth stage. Once they get this far, they should know how to do this in development level 2 and 3. Number 3, rotate the hips as the throwing arm moves forward. Number 4, bend and raise the arm at the elbow and lead with the elbow. I used to tell my students you have to form an L. It's really a 90-degree angle, but do they know what a 90-degree angle is? They need to form an L, not a lazy L, not a hyper L, but an L. Number 5, shift the weight from the rear foot to the front foot. So that's a transfer of weight from the rear foot to the front foot. That's your accelerated, proper way of teaching throwing. You have your overhand throw, as I said earlier, raising the arms to shoulder height, forming that L, and we talked about the transfer of weight and everything like that. We also have a little PowerPoint slide I'll be showing you shortly about that. Underhand throw on page 680. The arm comes forward like in a bowling motion, and again, you're going to shift your weight from the back foot to the front foot doing that toss. And pitching. Official rules call for the pitcher to have both feet in contact with the pitching rubber. The follow-through motion is very important, and I'm going to have a slide shortly to show you about that follow-through. Here is your picture of the 2-finger grip, which is getting pretty technical for baseball, not so much for softball. And then they show the full grip with the 3 fingers. I personally don't stress that. If they want to use all 4 fingers, that was fine with me. Here's your picture of how to throw the ball overhand. Notice the non-throwing arm, that foot is closest to the target. And notice the L for his arm, the 90-degree angle. And then on pitching, 2 feet together, stepping forward, that pendulum swing backwards, and then the follow through. When you're bowling or when you're pitching, you want that follow through. Your hand should come up and touch your right shoulder if you're a right-handed pitcher or bowler. And wherever that elbow goes, that's where the ball's going to go. If you have your elbow out, the ball's going to be a gutter ball in bowling, and it's going to be an outside pitch for the batter. Fielding. Fielding is an important skill that we want to teach our students. I want you to know that they should be in the ready position, which is a semi-crouch position, but more importantly, they need to have their legs about shoulder width apart. They need to bend their knees, and look where their hands are. They're in front of their knees. Now, we don't use a glove. We're not going to expect them to use a glove because not everybody's going to remember to bring a glove, and some people forget. Sometimes the gloves develop legs, so don't even expect your students to use a glove. I want you to know the instructional cues for fielding. Move into the line of the path of the ball, so you want to try and get your body in front of the ball where it's coming. Number 2, give when catching the ball. We talked about that soft receipt where your hands should come towards your body to give when catching the ball. Number 3, they talk about using a glove, but we're not going to do that. Number 4, for grounders, keep the head down and watch the ball move into the glove. So I've been stressing so much about eyes up when dribbling in basketball, dribbling in soccer. This is the one time that I want you to purposely keep your eyes on the ball and watch it go all the way into your hands, because it's human nature to take your eyes off of the ball the last second or two and assume it went in your hand or your glove. And that's the problem. We got to overemphasize watching the ball go in your hand. Fly balls. There's 2 ways to catch a fly ball. You can either have your fingers together, having your fingers together like your pinkies together is what I'm talking about for a low ball. If the ball comes at you, below the waist where you're going to need to catch it, then your pinkies ought to be together. And if a ball is coming at you, a fly ball, and you are going to have to catch it above your waist, your thumbs should be together. So I want you to know the eye is on the ball continually, all through the flight of the ball. Never take your eyes off the ball until the ball goes in your glove or in your hands. Grounders. I want you to know to field a grounder, the fielder moves as quickly as possible into the path of the ball. We talked about that earlier. Shortstop for outfield balls. I'm going to show you a picture shortly, but to keep the ball from going through your hands, they call it a shortstop, where you have one knee down and you catch the ball. Okay. First base positioning. Where do we stand for first base? And then catcher's position. Position just beyond the swinging range of the bat. Here is our diagram or slide of fielding a grounder, where the fielder is at the bottom of the circle, and you notice that's home plate, okay? So if the ball's going that way, the fielder needs to move into the path of the ball. Notice how they're showing it on the left. This is the right way to do it. And on the right side, this is the wrong way to do it. This is on the left side is the picture of the shortstop. See that one knee down? And again, we're not going to be using a glove, but you can still put your one knee down if it's a slow rolling ball. And that's an example of a shortstop. Stretching for a catch. Notice his left foot is in line with his left hand. Again, we're not going to use a glove, but we're going to use two hands because we're going to be using a wiffle ball, not a regulation softball or baseball. For batting, for a right-handed batter, they want to stand with the left side of the body toward the pitcher, and their weight should be on both feet, evenly distributed. Avoid habits of lifting the front foot high off the ground, stepping back with the rear foot, dropping the rear shoulder, chopping at the ball, golf ball swing, dropping the elbows. So I want you to know the instructional cues for batting. Keep your hands together. Swing the bat horizontally, swing through the ball, which means follow through with it, and hold the bat off of the shoulder. Watch the ball hit the bat. Again, it's another L that we want to form with our left arm. To whenever I like to rest the bat on my shoulder, then pick it up about ear height, so it's not resting on my shoulder. Base bunting, the batter turns to face the pitcher. Base running, how to run past first base and home plate. These are all skills that can be taught. On the left side is the diagram of my little man batting. You see the L that's formed with his left arm. Okay, I personally do not hold my bat like that. You should have the knuckles lined up like as if you're going to shake somebody's hand. Those knuckles should be lined up. I don't line up the knuckles that he has lined up. Bunting, notice him squaring up to the plate, to the pitcher. Under instructional procedures on page 683, your first and main concern is safety. Make sure the students don't throw the bat. Teaching not to throw the bat. The batter touches the bat to the ground before dropping it. The batter can be called out if they throw the bat. Have the batter carry the bat to first base. I tried that before, especially in a gym. Changing the ends of the bat before dropping it. Oh, okay. And then place the bat in a 3-foot circle before running. So these are some different options so they do not throw the bat. Some more safety issues that you should be concerned about. Sliding can lead to an injury, so you definitely do not want to allow them to slide. the catcher standing near the batter, they need to wear a mask. But we're doing wiffle ball and stuff, so you just have to make sure they're far enough back that the bat doesn't come into contact with them. Teaching the players to call a fly ball so that we don't have a collision. When changing fields, have teams do so via opposite baselines. Oh, okay, third base, first base. And use the softer softballs. We do that. Some batting skills must be stressed. This is no more an ego-shattering experience for a child than standing at the plate and showing an ineptness that draws scorn and ridicule from peers. This is basically you don't want to embarrass the student. And I've talked about having a batting tee because I do not allow strikeouts or walks whenever we played softball. Have a set number of pitches per batter. Yeah, you can do that, and then put the batting tee if you want. On page 684, they continue with the instructional procedures for softball. Number 4 talks about rotating the positions often. I have my little rotation system where number 1 is pitcher, number 2 batter will be the catcher or first base, depending on how many students you have. Number 3 will be the second baseman, 4 shortstop, 5 third baseman, 6 left field, 7 center field, 8 right field. And that's the batting lineup, and then that's also the rotation for the defense. And then 1 moves up to 2 on the next time they come out to the field, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so on. You can change the distance between the bases as needed because with a wiffle ball, it doesn't go as far as a regulation softball or tennis ball or baseball. So it may be more difficult to get them out if you actually do the regulation length. I never did the regulation length. Appoint umpires to use team at bat to umpire. That teaches them to respect the umpires because it's difficult to be an umpire. Number 7, encourage players to recognize and give approval and support to less skillful players. Very good point. Number 8, have each player run out a hit and not just stop because it's hopeless or not run at all. Sometimes they do that. Number 9, analyze the purpose of lead-up games. Their lead-up games are very good, but what are you wanting them to practice? What skill are you wanting them to do? And you have lead-up games to do that rather than playing your regulation softball game. And number 10, they need to respect officials. This is an opportune time for you to teach them to respect officials. How do we organize for instruction? You want to give these students as much opportunities as possible to practice all the different skills. Number 2, address the differences in ability. Some players have practiced more than others, so they're more skilled. So you do not want to allow the most skillful students to be in the popular spots. You want to make sure you do a little rotation. Number 3, carefully plan and communicate to all students the activities and procedures. Number 4, completions of stations, rotation of stations is not necessary at each class session. Number 5, provide directions at each station. Number 6, your stations do not rule out involving class as a whole. Continuation here of how to organize your instructions. Number 7, stations provide excellent opportunity for peer help, working together with one another. Teachers moving from station to station to help the students is good. Your stations can be compared to varsity or majors. And number 10, choose from your lead-ups, particularly squads or group-oriented games. The basic rules in softball, your batting order, according to their positions, I find works well. Pitching, they must face the batter. Batting, use a softball bat. Striking out, misses the ball on the third strike, they're out. I personally don't allow that because we want participation. And then batter safe if they reach the base before the ball is thrown to that base. fair ball types, foul ball, it's outside the foul line, fly balls, if caught there and out, base running, they can't lead off, have a lead like in baseball. Scoring, scores are run every time a person gets to home plate. For softball drills on page 685, they talk about batting and have students using a batting tee, organize an informal hitting practice. On page 686, have the students practice throwing and catching using drills. Number 3, have the players use proper pitching and catching form for pitching practice. Number 4 talks about infield drills. Number 5 talks about practicing base running. Number 6 talks about playing pepper, which is a fun little game to play even before a true softball or baseball game. You're trying to kill time before the game starts in high school or college. Number 7, they talk about station work. And then you have your activities. Throw it and run softball for development level 2, 2-pitch softball, hit and run, kick softball, beat ball, steal a base. Then for development level 3, I like that 500 when I used to teach City League softball. I would do that 500 and work with the outfielders because those are the ones the coaches didn't want. They wanted the more skilled ones in infield and the lesser skilled one in outfield. And so I'd modify the game of 500 to get the students, get the little children to practice how to catch a ball and throw a ball back to me. Home run for development level 3, scrub, slow pitch softball, hurry ball softball, and 3-team softball. Those are the activities in the book. For the skills test, you can have them throw for accuracy, make a target on the wall, 54 inches, 36 inches, 8 inches, and they score 1, 2, or 3 points. They have 5 tries. Throwing for distance, 3 throws, fielding grounders, circling the bases, their time to see how fast they are, and then pitching. These are all your skills tests for softball.